Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Stott and I'm the Emperor of Stomaria. Today I want to discuss how a nation can become a friend of Stomaria. So back in July 2023, we released a video called Allies and Friends of Stomaria, in which I discussed the two potential paths that a nation could take in trying to affiliate with Stomaria in some way without integrating that nation into the empire itself as a member state. Now, whereas the allies of Stomaria were expected to meet various criteria in order to associate with Stomaria in a formal capacity, much as they are now, the friends of Stomaria was something completely different. There was very little in the way of criteria that a nation had to meet to become a friend of Stomaria, and that's simply because, frankly, the association as a friend of Stomaria is a lot less meaningful. Being a friend of Stomaria does not involve trade, meetings, or engagement of any kind. It's simply our way of acknowledging a nation's expressed support for Stomaria. Now, this tier is not something that we've ever really promoted or advertised in any real way, but over the last few months in particular, I've had to turn down a great many alliance applications, and over the years, we've turned down hundreds of these. And I think I want to express right now in this video that for those that do want to become associated with Stomaria in some way, can become a friend of Stomaria without meeting all of the necessary criteria that we require to become an ally of Stomaria, or indeed to become integrated into the empire itself as a member state. Because the simple fact of the matter is that even though, as I say, we have turned down hundreds of alliance applications over the years, we don't want to actively discourage people from trying to establish and build nations, least of all those that have cited Stomaria as one of their primary sources of inspiration for founding their nation in the first place. We might turn down an application because we believe that the founder is simply too young. We might turn down an application because we believe that the nation itself is too young. We might turn down an application because we believe that the changes to the flag, the name, the government structure, the ideology, or whatever else of that nation has been far too frequent. There are many reasons as to why we are hesitant to formalize alliances with other nations, but that does not mean that we wish those nations ill, and indeed there are some that we wish to keep an eye on. And to have this friend of Stomaria tier as an option, I think, is something that a lot of these nations would be happy to accept. Now, becoming a friend of Stomaria is very simple, it's very straightforward. If your nation does not qualify to become an ally of Stomaria, or doesn't qualify to become a member state of the empire, then all that nation needs to do is to send us an email requesting to become a friend of Stomaria. Now, in this email, we'd need your nation's name, your nation's flag, the name and email address of the highest authority of that nation, a very brief overview of the nation's values and aspirations, and again, another very brief overview as to why you want to become a friend of Stomaria, and a link to your nation's website or social media accounts. That's it. And if we're not repulsed by your application because your name or your flag is vulgar or you're promoting some kind of political extremism, then you will be added to the list of nations on our website that have themselves expressed support for Stomaria. There won't be any links to your website or your social media accounts. There won't be any description of what your nation is or what it stands for. It will simply be your name within a list of nations that have expressed their unilateral support for Stomaria. Because ultimately, being a friend of Stomaria is just that. It's just one nation saying that they support Stomaria, and we are publishing that on our website as a token of appreciation for that support. And that's all it is. Now, with that said, I do expect there to be some friends of Stomaria that do go on to become allies of Stomaria, or indeed member states of the empire itself. And that's because I do see a lot of potential in some of the nations and some of the communities that may become friends of Stomaria. And on the flip side, there are going to be many more, I don't doubt, that simply dissolve or go inactive. And to prevent the list of nations listed on our website as the Friends of Stomaria being numbering in the hundreds over the coming years, many of which will be, defunct or dissolved or whatever else, we will periodically message these nations and these communities to ask if they are still interested in being Friends of Stomaria. And if we do not get a response, or they decide that they no longer wish to express their support for Stomaria, then we will simply remove their name from the list on our website. So, with all of that said, if your nation wishes to become a friend of Stomaria, get in touch and let us know. If you want to learn more about Stomaria or play an active role in our development and expansion, visit our website at www.stomaria.com and find out what it means to be a Stomarian.